We always think we're kind of a big deal here on this show, but our guest, we're not. We're definitely not. And Craig here, who is our guest this week, case in point, just talked to Josh Gad, of all people, a week ago. Oh. Craig, just tell us a little bit about that. How was it? Was it like mind-blowing?
Well, it was really fun. We've requested on Beyond the Mouse podcast. First of all, thank you so much. I will say first, he was our 300th episode, but our 299th episode was Amy and Paul Krieger. So really,
so boring.
He had a lot to live up to on that episode. But no, you sometimes we've gotten the opportunity to have these different discussions and chats with Disney legends and Imagineers and others, and it's just one of those things where sometimes you have to ask. Actually, I'm wearing my Powerline shirt tonight. Kevin Lima, director of Disney Movie, the advice that he gave us at the very beginning of all this when we talked to him was to you got to ask for it. And so you get that email back and they're like, yeah, Josh has 30 minutes. And it's like, wait, what? Okay, I guess we'll prepare and we'll get ready. And so it was a lot of fun. He was everything you'd want him to be. He was just as warm and, he's a guest that's worth melting for. Isn't that right?
So true. I can barely get Derek to give us 30 minutes to film these shows, once a month. So that's impressive. Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I'm your host, Paul Krieger, joined as always by my lovely wife, Amy Krieger.
Hello.
We've got John Sakari, Big Fat Panda, with us.
Welcome home, everyone.
We're going to have to change that name pretty soon.
Right, he's getting slim and trim.
It's a big medium panda.
Senior Sales Associate for the DVC Resale Market, Derek DeBoer.
Hey, now hurry up. I got 27 more minutes.
Our best friend in the world, Jeff Haslam.
Hey, everybody. I think Panda's the most famous person we've had on this show, and that's not saying much.
100%.
We are joined by a special guest this week. We've got Craig McFarland with us. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing great, and I just want to say thanks for letting me come on. This is so great. I've had the chance to meet Panda and to meet Paul and Amy, but just listening to Derek and Jeff talk every Monday has just been a delight. So thanks for all the content that you all put out and for just all the discussions that you make me have with you in my car when you can't respond. And now you can respond to what I say. So,
well, good night, guys. That was a whole show. That's the only reason we had Craig on, was to just plug us up like that. So
that was a good quote. We can use that.
I can stay longer than 30 minutes if he keeps talking like that.
Craig, no, it has been great to be on your podcast, Beyond the Mouse podcast, several times, I think it's been. And I know Panda's been on there as well. Craig does an amazing Disney podcast. This is on NPR Illinois, is that correct?
Yeah, we're through NPR Illinois, and then we have our own network of shows called the Front Row Network as well. So I also do, myself personally, I also do a Ted Lasso and Shrinking podcast as well called Peanut Butter and Biscuits, which is a lot of fun with my co-host Jeremy over there. So yeah, I just love to podcast. I've been podcasting this will actually be my 10-year anniversary in May. So I am excited about that. I think we're going to rent out a local brewery, and I should invite Derek because you like your microbrews, right? And we can do a bracket show or something like that to celebrate. So it'll be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
We can write into the budget having all of us come to Illinois if that's what it takes. So
I was just going to make sure that your email doesn't go to my spam. So give me a second so I make sure I can get that invite.
Well, yeah, we didn't bring Craig on just because he has another podcast and he talks nicely about us. It is because he is a Disney Vacation Club member as well, and
legit
member, and not what would be a non-legit member.
He's really into his DVC, really into it.
And he also just signed up for the Goofy Race Challenge. I think he did.
Yes, I did. So, at the time of this recording, the queue was just like yesterday, but those things can be really nerve-wracking. And so I had decided kind of last minute. I've done the marathon twice at marathon weekend, and I just decided, you know what, let's up it a little bit and be a little goofy about it. And so I signed on for the Goofy Challenge, which will be the half marathon and the marathon. And that's what Paul and Amy have already said they're going to do in 2027. So thanks so much for that side message. Not to bring that out to the world, but
yesterday during signups, I sat there and we actually we had all of our browsers open.
We almost didn't get in.
We almost did not get in. Luckily, one of our things started to count down, and our other friend, Jeff, was also trying to get in. And I basically told him halfway through, I was like, if we don't get in, I'm just going to book a cruise. And so at that point, I was considering closing the browser because I really just wanted to take the cruise.
Yeah, it's a nerve-wracking experience, but I'm glad that you all got in. It was fun to see your journey with doing your first marathon as well. It's just such a cool environment, and it's such a supportive community. You see people from all different skill sets getting out there, and whether they're running or they're running the whole thing, hardly anybody's really doing it for time necessarily. They're doing it more for fun, and it is just a really great experience. So if you've never done a Run Disney event, I would just suggest that you consider doing it, especially if you're DVC, because just think of that money you're saving on your hotel and your resort stay. It's just going straight to Run Disney and these huge costs that they have for these races.
Right.
There is such an incredible
Derek, I think when they run the marathon next year, that marathon's 26 miles. What say you? We each drink a beer for every mile that they run. We'll just meet them at the finish line.
I was just going to say that it makes me feel so much better, because that's really the only reason I haven't signed up to do a marathon or a half marathon is I just hear the signing up part is just really stressful.
You know what's really cool about that, Derek? When we're signing up, we can sign like an additional person up at the same time. So we can just add you in 2027.
Sounds good.
Okay, I want to do my first 5K, and I want Jeff and Derek and me to be like the 3 hitchhiking ghosts. We can do it.
That would be great.
We can make this happen. This is...
I can do 5K.
Yeah,
right.
I'll be the little one with the beard. He be the tall one. You be the middle. We be hitchhiking ghosts. Let's do it.
Craig's like, where's Josh Gad when I need him?
Where's the exit button? Yeah. Before we get any further into this show, as always, this and all of our DVC fan content is brought to you by the world of DVC. DVC Resale Market. If you're looking to buy or sell a Disney Vacation Club contract to fund your Run Disney addiction, they can assist. Monera Financial, where you can finance that DVC resale contract purchase, or the DVC rental store, where you can try before you buy, rent out some points, or rent your own points for cash. Yeah.
Was that it?
That was all. Craig, it's so great to have you here this week. We do want to make this show about you and kind of add you to our member insights or our member spotlight series, where we're kind of just talking about member experiences and why people became Disney Vacation Club members. And so really that's the first question I want to kick things off with is, what really inspired you to join Disney Vacation Club, and when did you become a member, and what was that kind of process like?
So I started going to Disney as kind of a Disney adult, right? About 2012 or so. And when I was going more frequently, I would go with some friends who would stay in these amazing rooms. I mean, I remember going into their room at the boardwalk, and it was like a 2-bedroom villa, and I didn't know what any of that meant at the time. And then I was like, hey, I feel like I'm spending $1 million over here to stay at Coronado Springs. How are you doing this? And they tried to explain the point system to me probably 5 or 6 times. It never really took. It really kind of just like, okay, there's some points, there's these things. And so that was how I kind of learned about Disney Vacation Club. But then kind of from the process of going on these different trips and sort of seeing the different resorts and following different Disney news sites and becoming kind of really kind of obsessed with Disney and just the parks and having so much fun, it really became what amounted to a happy place for me. And so then it was actually during COVID that I decided that it was time to look into the idea of getting a DVC contract. I actually had never really stayed at many deluxe resorts, period. And so to be able to stay at Wilderness Lodge and have that experience right after COVID had sort of cleared. And then immediately I'm like, okay, well, I've got to go in and I've got to buy a DVC contract at Copper Creek Villas because I love this place. It was one of the newest spots. I could get a great resale contract on it. And now I have that until 2067. And so I have lots of different memories and experiences that I can have from there. But the process of kind of learning about it was probably a 10-year endeavor. And then finally jumping in. And I'm so glad that I did. You know, you often say on your show, people will tell you that their biggest regret is that they didn't buy in sooner. And certainly I fall into that category. But I am glad that I've been able to have these experiences as a member. But yeah, I've only been a member really since I want to say it was probably about 2021, 2022 timeframe.
Oh, yeah. So you're I feel like you're a very newish member. How long have you been going to Disney before you became a DVC member?
Well, so, you know, I was in that kind of like, I of course went as a kid. I remember my grandparents taking me. I remember going on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I remember, that's why I love, speaking of another, you know, DCL as well. I love going out to Disney Cruise Line and going and being able to scuba dive and see the Nautilus, the old ride vehicles out there because I love that attraction. And so I did that a couple of times. And then I do believe that I went once in high school as well, like thinking back in like my memories of just kind of like a quick choir trip, one day, done kind of a thing. But then, yeah, it wasn't really until about 2012 where I started to just go with some friends. And it was really fun to get together in a place where you could have a really exciting and good time and be able to kind of have that childlike whimsy as well, to where you really could just enjoy a trip. I know that people say it's stressful at Disney, and it certainly can be at times, but there's just something still about the property and about all the attractions and the nostalgia that comes with that just really I love.
I love what you said there early on too about just the allure of these deluxe properties, because I think that's where so many people come from when they become members. Is it's like it's untouchable. These resorts, I can't. We've said this before on the show. We used to go by in the monorail and be like, I can't even step foot there. I'm not allowed. I don't have enough money to even enter. Like, it's just how you feel sometimes. Like, you know, before you know about what this product can bring to you.
Mm-hmm.
I
absolutely. Go ahead.
Remember a really great story too, which Craig just totally reminded me of, is that feeling when people became a member. And I think this was with me back when I worked in Chicago as a DVC guide. And it was a family that always went to Disney, obviously go to the Magic Kingdom. They wound up joining and they bought Bay Lake Tower as their home. And I talked to them after they joined and they go, Derek, it was the best feeling in the world. It was our first DVC trip where we stayed at Bay Lake Tower. It was after a long day at the Magic Kingdom. And the feeling that we had when we walked past the bus that went to the All-Star, which is where we normally stayed, and just walked to Bay Lake Tower, we said, this is the best feeling. This is the best money we've ever spent our whole entire life, because they were done with that and they never thought that it was possible. So Craig, you nailed it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Until you run out of points and then you do a cash stay at the All-Stars on a Thursday because you need to be there for Moonlight Magic or something. Been there.
Well, I got to tell you, we definitely I'm getting married later this year, and the add-on-itis is hitting hard because we're trying to save up our points to go to Alani. But as Amy just mentioned, I'm signed up to do Goofy as well. So I don't know, Paul Rental Store. We'll have to talk offline or something. I don't know. We'll have to figure all this out. Maybe Panda can give me some of those Riviera points to use for a couple of nights.
You think there's any left? I'm getting like Derek. I'm borrowing from 2030.
2030.
If they let you borrow indefinitely, how many of you guys would just be broke?
Oh, forget it. Derek, I know would have none.
The expiration dates on the deeds wouldn't matter at that point for me because I would be borrowed to the end of time.
Yes. I would immediately go for that instant gratification, and I'd look my son who's 21 and I'd say, listen, I know we bought this for you, but you're going to have to tell your kids that daddy used up all the points. All the points. You got
they just have to pay the dues, but the points are
right, for no points.
I love it. Craig, you mentioned Wilderness Lodge.
Oh, go ahead, Penn.
Does that mean Copper Creek is your home resort?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Copper Creek's my home resort, and I just absolutely love it there. I've actually never stayed there at Christmas time, so I get really jealous around Christmas time that I haven't been able to see my home at Christmas. But it's just something about that spot. And when I first met you in person, Panda, like you had been on the show a couple of times, but we met at Geyser Point because it's like, again, it's my happy place within my happy place, right? Give me a bison burger and a Space Dust IPA, and let me kind of just watch what's going on there. Yeah, Derek, we need to be friends, Derek. Clearly, I mean, this is. But no, it's
talk slow. Talk slow. Take me through the bison burger. Tell me what the IPA looks like.
It is just such a great place, and it's warm. And what I love about it too is that it really is just as close to the Magic Kingdom as the monorail resorts are. But it's something about it just feels like it's in a completely different area. So you can enjoy the parks and you can really enjoy your time. And then at the end of the night, you get to kind of retreat back to this kind of more secluded spot that you just to enjoy. And I love Wilderness Lodge. But through DVC, I've also been able to now experience a ton of different resorts that I never thought I'd be able to try. Right. And so I know my fiance she fell in love with the boardwalk. So that's probably where the next contract will come from. And I know with the resort, we said that, what our goal in life should be is that buy a resale contract for the 2042 expiration. And then whatever Disney does, maybe we go direct once they start up in 2042 or whatever the case may be. But it's really cool to get a chance to experience all these. I mean, like even Animal Kingdom Lodge, like to be able to just go out there and see the savannah. I'm talking to a bunch of members, but it's those kind of experiences that really elevate the Disney stay that you have, that it's just very cool. It's a very cool feeling to have when you're going into those places.
See, that's why,
to your point, it's kind of one of those things that you get to make new memories all the time. And the question that I'm going to ask you is, what would you consider your best memory, your favorite experience that you've had? But before I ask that question, I just want to comment that it's hard for me to answer that question, and it's getting harder and harder because every time I go, I went to Cake Bake Shop for the first time last night, and I was the one that was hating on it, and I ended up walking out of there going, I gotta go back. It was so good. It was so great. But anyway, that's what I love about DVC is making those memories over time. But there's that first one. There's that one that really sparks the love.
I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you two different memories, and they're vastly different memories. And I should mention that you talk a lot about DVC resale market being there for you even throughout the life cycle of a contract. Well, I went through a divorce and I had to sell DVC, and then I decided I was immediately going to buy back, but of course, like about half the points that I had initially had or whatever the case may be. And so it was not something I was expecting, clearly, not something I was anticipating, but to have the DVC resale market team kind of guide me through that process of not only selling a contract, but then also purchasing back another contract was really great to have. And now that I'm done promoting your business, I'll go into say that my first memory I want to mention is that I got to take a trip that was my son and my mom. And my mom, had never stayed at a place like Wilderness Lodge. And she just, like, that whole experience of her being with her grandchild and me kind of just getting to experience it, not only through his eyes, but also through her eyes, that entire week-long vacation was just completely magical. And it was something that I'll never forget, because it was coming out of a period of time in my life that was devastating and was not necessarily the brightest days. But then to be able to have this experience and to know that, again, that happy place is still there for you. And, oh, hey, you also get to bring others along the ride with you to be able to share these memories was just incredible. And so that's sort of my first memory. And then my next memory that I wanted to share, much more recent, is to say that I was just at Marathon Weekend, And we decided as a group, there was about 10 of us, and we decided we were going to do a cruise, a fireworks cruise. And just the experience of being able to stay on the boardwalk and then go to Abracadabra and then go to this fireworks cruise. You meet over at the Yacht and Beach Club area. And then we did the Epcot fireworks cruise. I've got to tell you, folks, if you are looking for something to do at Disney, for 10 people, it was actually very affordable. It was $450 plus we gave a tip. But if you think about it, that's about $45 a person to be able to go and get to sail around. We got to see the Epcot fireworks in such a way that I'll never forget it. And it was cool because it was people all over the country that kind of bonded through Run Disney and through running these events. It's people we don't get to see very often. And so it was great to have my fiance there with me. It was her first experience staying at the boardwalk. And so again, it's kind of like the best part about DVC to me and Disney and is not necessarily the memories that even I take in personally, but it's also getting to share those experiences and memories with other people that you love as well. And that's definitely what happened in both of those cases.
I can't agree more, because that's my favorite thing to do. And I've talked about it on the show is DVC has allowed me to give people an experience that they would have probably not otherwise been able to afford. I talked about it. Some friends that came in from Utah that not only do they not come to Disney, when they go to even Disneyland, they're staying at the Stop and Rob's across the street. They're people through and through. And for me to bring them to a Savannah View Animal Kingdom Lodge 2-bedroom just blew their mind. And I'm not saying it for bragging rights for me. I was truly, truly grateful to see and experience that through them. And as somebody that is a professional divorcer, I get where you were coming from, because it is devastating, and to be able to rebuild your life through Disney is something that most people probably don't understand, but it's a healing place
and
for a lot of people.
And the reason I bring, other than just the memory, the reason I really do bring that up is because I've listened to episodes where, Derek, you explain that situations happen and you don't know in your life if you may have to because of a job loss, or, even people just losing interest in DVC or whatever the case may be. So I can tell you that I've been through that process now, and that the team really helped me to sell that contract and to be able to get rid of that contract, pick up another one. It really ended up working out seamlessly. So I really am not just trying to be a plant here to tell you the DVC resale market's great, but I would just for viewers out there, for listeners that might be going through different situations, the team was really great and really helped me quite a bit in that process, and allowed me to continue to still use DVC, which has been awesome.
It's such a great lesson. And, Craig, I'm so happy you brought it up, because I wasn't going to unless you did. But we have people all the time that have something going on in their lives. It could be divorce. A lot of times it's financial related, and they scramble to try to save their Disney Vacation Club. That's the thing they don't want to part with. It's like the last thing they want to touch. And they do things that put Band-Aids on this, rather than just kind of realizing that I'm at a point in my life where, unfortunately, this purchase, while it is so precious to me, I can't hold on to it, and I need to let it go. Oh boy, we're back to Josh Gad already. But you need to let it go, and you need to part with it. But you are a perfect example of, you knew you wanted that back, and life gets in the way at points, but then life changes and it gets better, and it allows you to kind of come back around to it. And, you have a contract again, you're a member again, you're going to be adding on the boardwalk, I think, tomorrow with Derek. So,
yeah, I got to tell you, Zoe wants to, it's going to happen. I'm positive that we're going to add on, because we really do. Guy, we really do need at least 50 more points. It's just a small contract. It doesn't even be anything crazy, but we really need those points. So
you're always going to say that.
They're neat.
I know, right?
Craig, I don't think that we've said this, but where are you located? Where do you live?
Oh, so I live in central Illinois. So I live in that kind of potentially at times a barren tundra. It was so funny because when Paul and Amy came onto the show, I had listened to the show that morning. We recorded on a Monday, and you were talking about being cold. And I think you said it was 52 degrees outside. And literally at that time when I was listening to it, it was like -10. And I was just like, oh, it's cold in Florida, huh? You know?
Nobody has sympathy.
We do catch a lot of hate for that, but it was
I
cool.
mean, Derek knows that with Chicago, right? Like, it's that wind, it's that darn wind in the Midwest. Right?
I know it all too well, and I will, after 40 plus years there in Northwest Indiana and going through those winter, I will happily take the Florida winters, which is basically when it's really, really hot. I will happily be really hot, really humid, and really sweaty over really, really cold and a ton of snow. So I love you, Indiana, but adios.
Okay, so as someone who lives, up north, you're not local like we are. How has DVC changed the way that you do Disney?
It's funny because I had a lot of people tell me that it would change how, and then listening to the shows or listening to the podcast, and I was like, but I'm a guy that loves to be active and moving. I'm a huge extrovert. I'm like, wanting to go out there and experience these things. I'm gonna be gone from sun up to sundown and all of that. And I do still do that every now and then for sure. Like we did. My fiance Zoe and I did 4 parks in one day right after we had gotten done with a Disney cruise, and it was a lot of fun. Like getting to do that kind of stuff was great. I still love to do that, but it's also really cool to see so many of the other things that the parks and resort generally, the Walt Disney Resort, have to offer, and to be able to just take a moment and be able to just go and check out a different area that you hadn't been to before. And I feel like I can do that now because it's no longer the anxiety of like, oh, when am I booking my next trip? Because generally I have a trip already booked before I even leave. And so it's like, I know I'm going to be back. This really does feel like a second home. And I know that I'll still have a lot of these different experiences. So I don't have to kill myself to go make sure I ride Guardians before having, whatever the case may be. But it's really neat to be able to actually go and experience these resorts and really take in even some of the Imagineering and the story that go along with these resorts. My favorite place, I mentioned it earlier, one of my favorite places on property now is Abracadabra, because it's so cool that this random little lounge in the boardwalk, that they decided to put some real Imagineering into it and come up with these original stories of these 7 magicians that all magically disappeared or whatever. I would have never known about that if I wasn't a DVC member, because I would have likely never gone over to the boardwalk to experience that. So it really kind of opened up a lot more of the Disney parks to me, for sure.
Sorry, Derek, have you had the chips and dip over at Abracadabra?
Yes.
They're so good.
Yeah. And recently I just became I've been a beer drinker pretty steadily, but then I decided I needed to get a more sophisticated palate at times. So I am a bourbon drinker at times now too. And so trying the different old fashions and stuff like that they have there, just great. It's just great. Great place to go.
Yeah, everything that's coming out of Abracadabra is actually coming from the Flying Fish Kitchen.
I think we talked about this on Craig's
We
show.
did. We talked about we talked because we actually did the lounges around Walt Disney World was the topic of the show that we did with Craig. So
nice.
It's all coming back. We won't spoil too much of it. You'll have to go over to Beyond the Mouse podcast and listen to that.
It's so funny that Craig considers himself an introvert, because we feel that way about ourselves, but you have the perfect podcast voice.
I don't know about that. It's so funny because I listen back when I edit, and I think every podcaster would say that they don't enjoy kind of listening back to their stuff. But thank you. That's so nice. So see, I'm better at giving out compliments than I am at taking them, Amy. So thank you.
You are 100% correct, though. Amy's mom was here last week, and we were flipping through YouTube one night, and she saw that the most recent episode of the podcast, or I think it was our Grand Floridian dining review, and she was like, "Oh, let's watch it." And I'm like, "Nope." Keep on going. Not going to watch myself on TV. Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, this adds a whole new level because Paul and Amy and then Panda as well, you all know that we are audio based since we're through NPR Illinois. And so the fact that I know that people are also watching on YouTube right now, I'm like, do I look at this camera? It's adding a whole new dimension to what I'm doing here. I really respect the work you all do, just so you know.
When you say work we all do, all I do is randomly show this camera shot at times.
Worst camera shot ever.
So it's amateur hour, really.
I know. He hit it twice on our last show. I did it twice
on the last show, and you got Derek with his
that's awesome.
Glasses at times. So.
I do have to say that Craig, he wore a Roosevelt shirt, and
please Roosevelt sponsor us. We love you.
Because we can see it. It is a Powerline shirt. And after our show, whatever the show that just went up, where you were embarrassing me about singing into the beer bottle.
Oh, yeah.
I finally, Craig messaged us and said, I just want you to know that song it's I to I. Like, it's the letter I, the number 2. I thought it was 1 2 1. Every time I saw it on my iPod, I thought it said 1 2 1.
So you broke Jeff.
And I thought, why is that such a weird song name? Like, why did they name it like that? And finally, because of Craig, and we had a couple other comments.
It's even in the lyrics.
I know this. I know all the words to the song.
Oh, we know you do. Don't
I
play the video.
didn't put it together.
This is a slight tangent, and I apologize. But so I mentioned that I'm getting married in November. One of the real reasons I knew that I had found the one was because Zoe mentioned that, and she's been doing this for years. She loves doing the touch tunes at bars when she's in there. And what she'll do is she'll plug in Eye to Eye in touch tunes and just see everybody get happy in the bar. Like, because if you're anybody that's like a millennial that lived through the 90s, like people are like, wait, is this a Goofy movie? Like, that's amazing. Who's playing this? Yeah. So that's her gift to the world. And
couldn't get the ring quick enough.
Great.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
That is so awesome.
That's so good. That's so great. And listening to Craig talk about what, his membership has meant to him and his journey being a member and some of his, vacation memories that he has and the ones he's looking forward to, it literally makes me sit here. Plus you throw in his incredible soothing podcaster voice that I'm like, I think I might have to add on to my own membership finally. This guy's selling me that.
Come over to Copper Creek. I'm going to your boardwalk. You come to my Copper Creek. We'll do a trade or something.
That's it. I do have a question that I'm kind of curious because everybody has a different response, and it's not necessarily based on, I've been a member for 30 years or maybe I've been a member for 2. But if someone were to sit down with you, let's say at Geyser, and they know that you're a member and they've ordered you a round of, Space Dust IPAs and Geyser hamburgers, and they asked you and said,
Geyser hamburgers.
Craig, what should I know about this? What tips could you give me? Because I'm thinking of joining Disney Vacation Club. Can you think of anything that you, as a member would say, listen, obviously I love it, but you want to think about this thing or maybe these couple of things. What do you think?
So again, and I mean, John has known me for a couple of years now and knows that while it may seem complimentary, I really do truly mean it. I usually do, because I've had several people through the podcast or whatever ask about membership, and I usually send them to your videos on the 101s and things like that to try to learn a bit more, because trying to figure out like the actual points and things like that can be really kind of daunting and difficult. What I will say is that I think rightly, when you go into a lot of different vlogs, when you go into a lot of different Facebook pages or whatever, and you're reading about it, people will tell you to, of course, purchase where you want to stay. I definitely agree with that, because you do get that extra bonus window. But they also do say things like, you'll see a lot of negative comments about how whatever's flooding the market, and there's you can't really find rooms and all that. I will tell you that a limited experience, I guess, because I haven't been a member that long, but I have had every wait list I've put in come through. And so I would just say things like, go and explore. What's cool about being a DVC member is, yes, you always do have that home resort, that home that you can be comfortable in, but you're not really using your membership unless you go and explore those other resorts, in my mind. So go and try those things. Put in a wait list for a couple of different resorts at your 7-month mark or whatever, and see what comes up and see what opportunities that you have. So I moved over to the Boardwalk at probably like the 3-month mark is when my wait list came through for marathon weekend. And so it was great to be able to be right there next to Epcot before we started the run. Like I said, Zoe fell in love with the Boardwalk. And so go and try these other places. I never thought that I'd be like those Grand Floridian, like the Grand Floridian always seemed like this, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. I can't be here. They're going to kick me out. And I stayed at the Grand Floridian. They didn't kick me out. It was actually really nice. So, I would say that that's the coolest part about the membership is being able to kind of move around. And then, of course, the fact that I was fortunate, I did not have to finance anything. And so the fact that now I'm just paying annual dues and I get to feel like I'm staying in these places for free, even though, because that kind of money's in the past, that's past money, that's gone money, is really nice to be able to have those experiences.
Craig, I love asking people this question too, which is, you mentioned loving all of the resorts. If you could create a Disney Vacation Club resort, have you ever thought about like what it might be or what theme that might be?
I got to tell you that I was really bummed when the Star Cruiser closed, because I thought that was going to be the next level of like themed entertainment. And I know that they have a Marvel hotel in Paris, but I'm such a Marvel kid at heart, and I think that it would be really cool to have some more of those more themes, like where you're going through, and it doesn't even necessarily need the role play aspect that the Star Cruiser had, because I think that was probably where, well, that and the price point, of course, where that all went awry. But just having those IP experiences, I think, would be really fun. It is cool to have some of these resorts where they kind of have their own IP in a way, like the Polynesian is its own thing, right? And it's a beautiful and great place, but also like leaning in. I'll tell you, when I need to go book at a value resort or whatever, I love Art of Animation because it's just like, it really showcases Disney animation. So I think I would probably put in some IP like Marvel or something like that. I know that there's contract things on, so it's going to have to be at Disneyland where they do it. But still, I think that would be really fun.
Okay, before I ask the question I'm supposed to ask, I do want to know, you're talking about like exploring different resorts. Have you tried any of the resorts outside of Disney World yet, DVC wise?
Not yet. So like I mentioned, we're going to be planning on going on our honeymoon to Alani. And then when we went on a Disneyland trip, we did spend some time in Disneyland Resort, and then also in California, Grand Californian as well, which really felt much like home because it looks so much like Wilderness Lodge.
Very much.
But I really want to go to Vero Beach and to Hilton Head. I think that would be really fun to do that. And especially, again, listening to the shows and just hearing about these different experiences that you have. But I got to tell you, I'm really psyched about Alani. Now, that is probably the only time I'm kind of nerve-wracked about like the 7-month mark, only because it's a honeymoon. And so I want to make sure that like we get what we want and all of that. But I am excited about putting in that booking for Alani for sure.
Yeah. That's so exciting.
You'll
We have not been to Alani for so long, so
I keep begging you.
I know. What year? When are you going to Alani? When are you getting married? When's the honeymoon?
So we're getting married getting in November, and then she is a teacher, and so we'll probably do a summer honeymoon in like 2026. Yeah. So
okay.
So yeah. And you'll find me in the Lazy River. Actually, you know what, Paul, like you mentioned, like what would I put? I would put Lazy Rivers in every DVC resort. Like, why is that not a thing? Come on.
Well, you know what's coming, right?
It's coming.
Yeah, I know. I'm stoked about it.
Me too.
I'm so excited.
Hopefully
that's close to your Wilderness Lodge.
Hopefully they reopen the walking trail between Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness, and then you can just take your Wally inner tube right over and.
All right. So speaking of things that you are excited about, tell us what you are most excited about that's upcoming, either with DVC or even with a trip. I know you mentioned Alani. What else are you excited about for the future?
Summerfest.
It's yeah, exactly. Man, I wish I could come down there for that. We'll have to figure it out, right? But no, I really. this is going to sound like a hokey answer, but I'm kind of excited for those memories that I don't even know I'm going to make, right? And that's what's kind of nice about having the membership is that we do have the opportunity to go back frequently and to continue to make those kind of memories as well. In terms of like what's coming to the parks, I really enjoy the idea of some of the changes that are coming. It's possible that my son is his own DVC owner before Villains Land is open, but who knows like what the timeline will be on that. But I had the fortune to be able to cover D23. And so to be in that hall with Josh D'Amaro announcing everything as it came along, there were so many different aspects of the company that were just exciting to me, including I've kind of fallen in love with the Disney cruises as well. And the fact that there's going to be like 13 ships or whatever in the fleet by the mid 2030s. Like that's pretty remarkable. And what I'm hoping is that maybe the supply and demand there kind of averages out and maybe some of these cruises will be a little bit less expensive, but you all can tell me that that's just wishful thinking.
I've got that wishful thinking as well. I was actually looking at Disney Cruise Line prices today and I was like, okay, I need to wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's so hard to justify with like other cruise lines being so cheap and actually being on par with them, but I still love Disney. I love a Disney cruise walking out of your stateroom and having like the Disney music playing. Like that's even with DVC resorts, that's what's special to me.
It's the bubble. Yeah, you're still in a bubble.
Yeah, Mickey is protected.
And I think that's what Craig said so very well, is that's one of the coolest parts about being a member is not for the memories you've already made, but it's the memories you're going to make. Because I know, when we first bought ours, like 20-some years ago, we didn't have any kids. And all of our memories at first were, we'd book a flight from Chicago and stay at our home resort, the Boardwalk. And then that was it. Then we started to, like Craig has done, you start to kind of go outside that, okay, there's other places that I can use this thing too. There's maybe I'll try this resort or that resort. And that's where once you go and you stay at like a Vero Beach or a Hilton Head, I'm going to the Polynesian in 2 days from now. I can't wait. I'm just doing 2 nights at the Poly with my Boardwalk contract. So Craig nailed it perfectly, which is like, it's not just about the memories that you've made. It's about thinking of going outside that. I know you love that resort, whatever it is it may be, but take a chance, try something else different. It's all part of your membership, so you might as well try it. But yeah, that Craig summed it up perfectly.
That bison burger is going to wait for you, right? I got to go try this Wayfinder burger because Paul told me it's better than the bison burger. So
that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing Saturday night. I said, I don't care. That's the one thing I'm going to have because people say that it's better than the, Geyser Point burger. So I will know in 48 hours from now.
We want a full report.
I expect a full report back.
Just like you did for Wind and Waves.
I'm still stuck on Craig's idea for a new Disney resort. My mind has been on that. I'm not sure I heard anything else that anybody said since then.
Well, so Jeff, Jeff, go with me here. Like, it had the Star Cruiser been more successful, I think an easy idea for Disney to expand their reach and for things like DVC and stuff like that, they could have put Avengers Tower in New York. Right? Like, and like all of these different things that they could have done. And it's just like, oh man. Don't get me wrong. I'm very happy. Go ahead.
Can you guys imagine kind of like a hybrid Art of Animation, Coronado Springs, the casitas, where you have like Disney villages and each one is a different IP theme, but it's all kind of cohesive. You got Star Wars and dude, I would be all in.
Yeah,
take my money.
Circus
I want
Circus.
More
They're going to buy it, I hear.
Yeah, Craig nailed it perfectly when he's like, you know what? If you take out the role-playing aspect of I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've got my Roosevelt Star Wars hoodie on. But the thought of me paying like $10,000 to eat blue eggs and play plastic lightsabers with people and have to go by a different name and talk to people, like, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
He says that like he doesn't have a different name every weekend.
Craig, did you get to experience Star Cruiser or?
No, I didn't. So one of my co-hosts went twice. And so I'm still trying to figure out exactly what he does for work that he was able to do that. But no, he got to, he really dug into it. And there was a kind of a fan gathering that occurred last year. And he attended that because he really loved that. And so, our show, we all met doing community theater. And so I would be totally down down with the role play aspect of it. But I also think like broader audience, that's not necessarily the best seller for that. And I also love talking to Imagineers. I love how brilliant Imagineers are. It's really cool that they're going to get some really great office space. But I do wish that that resort had maybe had a brighter future than it had.
Me too.
Yeah.
I have full agreement. Full agreement.
Craig, we spend most of these kind of member spotlight shows questioning you and kind of peppering you with questions. And there's one question I didn't prepare you for, which was, what kind of question do you have for us and this whole motley crew that we have here?
So this is kind of fun for me. I mentioned that I started podcasting about 10 years ago. My first podcast, we released a movie review on Avengers Age of Ultron. So that would date it for you. But it is fun because even though I've started to do more things like Disney and I've got into Ted Lasso and all of this stuff, movies is still a passion of mine. And one of the questions that we used to ask people the first time that they came on the show, and we've kind of stopped doing it for whatever reason, but that is, what's your favorite film? And so this doesn't necessarily need to be a Disney film. And sometimes people gave a list that was 9 miles long. But I thought maybe I would turn it back around and say, learn a bit more about you. I think that whatever your favorite film is can say an awful lot about you. So yeah, what's your favorite film? And I don't know if you want me to call out people. I don't want to start hosting your show. I feel very, it's always hard to go on to a podcast.
Hosting this show.
Please do.
So Panda, what's your favorite movie?
Aliens with an S.
Nice.
Did not see that coming at all.
What?
I was waiting for Wicked to be the answer.
Wicked is up there, but Aliens is my all-time favorite movie.
I love how excited you are about Wicked every time you talk about it, though.
I can't handle it. I'm still on it. I'm still obsessed. Until
That's amazing.
Next November.
That's amazing. Derek, what's your favorite movie?
Okay, this is hard, and you can see my pained expression if you go back and ask, because it totally depends on what kind of a mood I'm in. But I would say, like, if I'm flipping through the channels, which happened, I had a little bit of rare time not that long ago, and I was like, I just want to put something on that I know I love, and I wound up going with, because I just think it's probably the perfect movie in every way, is Casablanca. I love that movie. I just think it's romantic. I think it's really funny. The humor is super like dry and sarcastic. It's just such a cool movie, and then it makes me remember the great movie ride. So I'm going to go with Casablanca.
Yeah, my one of my really good friends that also hosts a show on the network. He does all classic movies, and Casablanca is by far his favorite. It's that and Singing in the Rain. And I took him to Disney the first time in 2023, so he never experienced the great movie ride. And I was like, that is the biggest tragedy, because this ride was built for him. But yeah, so I've seen Casablanca several times now on his recommendation. It's just a great film. But Jeff, what's yours?
That is such a hard question, because Paul and Amy know I'm a huge movie buff. I host an Oscar party every year, except for this year because we had to go to Utah. But so that's probably the hardest question. My movie collection's probably in the 2000s by now. Man, I would have to say my top three: A Few Good Men, Fletch. Believe it or not, when I need to laugh, I'll throw on Fletch every single time. And I would have to. I hate to agree with Derek, but I think Casablanca is up there. And then I'll throw in Robin Hood for my Disney, because everybody needs to have a favorite Disney film, and that one.
That's right. Yeah, I love Robin Hood. And oh man, you got me with Aaron Sorkin and A Few Good Men. And then there was a new, I think it's called Catch Fletch. It's with John Hamm. And it was actually pretty good. It was a pretty good movie. So yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
I totally forgot. I need to change mine to the Bulgarian movie that Jeff starred in. That he's
Singapore, not Bulgarian.
Bulgarian.
Close.
Was it set in Vegas? I don't know.
Could have been.
Sorry.
It's called Under the Bed.
So good. I love it.
I can think of a couple for you, but
Are we picking each other's? Because this is going to become more
each other's?
difficult now.
I don't even know if you would know what to even come up with. Here's the thing. I'm the person that could give you like 10 movies. And I think when we were at Windermere Brewing, Jeff and I sat there and talked about like all these movies that we liked. And I was like, when I was young, my favorite movie was Backdraft. I love that movie.
It's a great movie. Great movie.
But I haven't seen it in so long. And then,
and I think in that discussion, didn't you say that you'd never seen Clue?
I definitely have never seen
Clue is so good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Clue, you have to watch.
I've also
Let's
never
do
seen
a watch.
Casablanca, so
Let's do a Clue party.
Casablanca's
Jeff.
definitely worth it. You need to see that for sure. It's so great.
yeah. And then you guys were talking about A Few Good Men. I've never seen that, but I love Aaron Sorkin. Like The Newsroom and West Wing. Obviously not movies, but right now, as an adult, I went through the Harry Potter phase. I loved Harry Potter. I'm an avid book reader. I love the Hunger Games movies. And if I had to pick a Disney movie, it would be Coco.
Zoe's.
I'm with
fiance's
you,
favorite is
Amy.
Coco. Yeah.
Love it.
The thing with Amy with movies is that she doesn't really commit to a movie.
I don't have the
And
attention
so, like,
span.
I'll sit. We have spent countless nights watching movie previews, never settling on a movie to watch because Amy will actually just Google it and be like, the story's dumb. This person dies.
I have to know what I'm getting into. I have to read the Wikipedia.
Oh,
plot.
come on.
I know. I have to ruin it first for myself, not for him, just for me. How about you?
For my answer, there are two movies that come to mind. One that when I grew up, I went and saw twice in the theater. It starred Kevin Spacey before everything with Kevin Spacey happened, but it was called K-Pax.
Oh, it's a great movie.
If anyone has ever seen
yeah.
K-Pax, that movie did not get much traction, but I thought that the story behind it all was very interesting, and just the thought process behind the one line that he used in it was, if you only have one chance to go through life, essentially get it right this time because this time is all you have, and that is kind of that phrase that I try to live my life by. So it was definitely an impactful movie that has resonated with me throughout life. The movie that I will stop on TV and watch, and I have been watching clips of recently.
I can guess.
It always happens in March and April because
Yes.
baseball season is starting. Moneyball is
Moneyball.
I think
watched
one
that
of
the
the
other
best
day.
movies of all time. I love that story. Heartbroken for the Oakland A's and the fact that team is leaving that city, but such an amazing story with that movie, and it's all based off of a true story. So
That's awesome.
I love baseball.
Yeah, no, that's all really great. I guess I've got to really quickly tell you mine because that's only fair. But I used to always say that if I wanted to sound classy, I would say things like Dead Poets Society. Also, I'm an academic advisor by day, and so I've kind of promoted myself to the unofficial sequel of Dead Poets Society, which is Good Will Hunting. But the real true answer. First of all, I'm wearing the Goofy movie shirt. Definitely my favorite animated film. And getting to kind of like talk to some of the people that made that movie has just that's a trip and a half when you're able to do that. But then the true answer, there's only one real answer to this, and that's 1992's The Rocketeer, which was just ahead of its time. So you got to go and check that out. It's available on Disney+. Billy Campbell is so wonderful in it. Timothy Dalton is this secret Nazi. It's there. You don't have to worry the Wikipedia, Amy. I just told you that he,
Gave
is.
it to me.
Yeah, I just gave it to you. But it's like that old Hollywood, and I always said, like, so people would ask, like, armchair Imagineering. And, of course, it was destined for a long time that Aerosmith was probably going to go from Rock and Roller Coaster. I was like, make that the Flight of the Rocketeer because you've got that end of Sunset Boulevard. The other idea that I think a lot of people have expressed before is make it a Powerline concert as well. Yep. So, I mean,
Yes.
the Muppets are going to be great, but there was some ideas left on the table there by Imagineering for sure.
Yeah.
That is such a deep cut. I forget about that movie, but it is so good. I haven't watched that in
It's
years.
so
I'm going to go watch
good.
it tonight.
It's a great spring movie because it's got that James Horner score, and that score, like as they're opening the doors of the airport plane hangar, and then like the sun is coming. Oh, it's like for whatever reason, I always watch it in the spring, so it's a good time to watch it.
This is my problem because ever since everybody's been talking, I've come up with like 10 more movies that are my favorite. Like Paul and I,
No. It's
talk
not a
about
movie
Ocean's
review
11
channel.
all the time. Ocean's 11,
Sorry,
and
I totally
Empire
hijacked
Strikes
your
Back
show.
and Back to the Future. I love them all.
I think our biggest takeaway is I want this show to be like the Red Baron Taco Pizza, whereas the makers of the Rocketeer, after this show airs, they're going to be like, have you seen how many people are renting the Rocketeer lately out of nowhere for some reason?
Everybody go watch it. That'd be great.
Well, Craig, it's been awesome having you here and just talking Disney and Disney Vacation Club. Thank you so much for agreeing to kind of come on and join us. We'll have to definitely have you back and talk, I think, movies or talk more Disney in the near future, because this has been a wonderful conversation. For those of our viewers that are out there wondering where they can get more of you, where can we hear your podcast and learn more about what you're doing?
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate that. But yeah, Beyond the Mouse, you can find it wherever you find podcasts. And we've got some really wonderful episodes. And I just highlight that Panda's been on the show several times. Just did a mouse game with us, which was really fun. It was maybe fun, like Match Game, but without the cease and desist. So it was called Mouse Game. And then of course, Paul and Amy were just on episode 299. We had a great conversation about lounges and everything else at Disney. So thanks for letting me come on. It's just been great, because it's really fun to join a conversation when it's people that you really have started to listen to a ton, and you get to like those people, and you kind of like, you feel like you're part of the conversation, and then to actually be part of the conversation is very cool. So so it's great to be able to chat with all of you tonight. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sure.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
cool.
And thank you all out in the listening, viewing, all that kind of space. Please, if you enjoyed this show, like and subscribe to our DVC Fan YouTube channel for behind the scenes content, patreon.com/DVC Fan, where you can watch a 1 hour long deep cut of Jeff Haslam's favorite movies, because that's how many he's come up with by the time that this show has aired. But until next week, that'll do it for us, and we will see you next Monday.
I forgot about Caddyshack. Caddyshack.
Paul loves Caddyshack.